My backyard kitchen. We're obviously are spending a little more time at home nowadays, so I want to show you a recipe that is important to me. It's something I actually brought home as one of my favorites from a trip to Turkey a few years ago, and it's something actually that I later served in my restaurant, so it's something I'm quite familiar with. It starts with a spice mixture. It's called the Adana kebab, and it starts with a spice mixture. It's got a little bit of cumin, some sumac. Everything's got sumac in it out there. Urfa, which is a member of the Barber spices or the chilies. Let me put some of that in there. Some salt, quite a bit, and a little bit of pepper. Now, what we want to do is we're going to mix this, and we're only going to use about half of it for our kebabs, and we're going to use the other half to sort of season the outside with. Okay, I've got nice and mixed. Put that to the side, and basically we're going to start dumping. We've got some very nice ground lamb with some chopped onions. We have a little bit of tomato paste. Some chopped parsley. Some chopped garlic. Now that we've warmed up the meat a little bit, it's gotten a little bit more malleable, it's easier to add our spice mix, and we're going to add about half of what we have here. The other half we're going to reserve to season the outside of it as we cook. Keep working it. Now, it's a big belief of my belief system that the efforts that go into the food translate to the end result. So it's in my nature to sort of keep working this thing. Okay, so now once we've added all our ingredients, we really got to work the meat. The idea is to kind of get it to where it's almost tacky and sticky. And this can be done on a table, or it can be done in a bowl, or it can be done in a mixer. Basically, if you were in a mixer, you'd be doing it until it sort of was lining the outside of it. And then the way we kind of get it out and start to work with it, once we get that tackiness and that stickiness going, then you're ready to kind of make it into kebabs. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I've got a nice formation here now. And dump it out. And I just find it easier to kind of divide it up so I can get my portions right as far as what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make we're going to do 3 skewers out of this. So I'm going to divide this into 3. Make sure we have similar sizes. And then I'm just going to start to work it up along the skewer. Now, the only real conformity you have is how big your plate is. So I made these and then forgotten that I didn't have a big plate to put them on. But today we have a nice platter, and I'm very excited. I'm going to you want to make them a little bit bigger than the plate, just so that when they do shrink a little bit, you're ready to go. So I think that looks pretty good. The guys, I tell you, when you go into the restaurants and you watch the guys make these things, they're really, truly skilled at it. They can put these things out really fast. It's something that they are really well trained on. So I'm doing my best, but they're the true masters. If you had a grill, you could actually take the grilled plates out. One of the fun things to do with it is just sort of suspend it above the grill. Just take it out, especially if you're working with charcoal or something like that, and you can rest these types of skewers or something similar just on top of the lips. I think it's my favorite way to kind of cook these. This is enough for this recipe that we're doing is enough for anywhere from 4 to 6 people probably. Okay. See how the stickiness has really allowed me to sort of get it so where it's not only adhering to this, but it's also gives me a chance to sort of form it around the skewer. There we go. While those are going, I'm going to make a little bit of a salsa that goes along with it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a salsa that's very traditional for the kebabs, for the Adana kebab. And it is something that's really easily done, but it's more of just sort of a dump and stir kind of thing. One of the things that is important to do is when you grate the cucumber, to make sure that you've salted ahead of time, let it drain out until it gets all the moisture out of it as much as possible. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, we've got some tomatoes that have been roasted and diced. We're going to add our cucumber. And while we're doing this, I'm going to be mashing the whole time. You can do this inside of a food processor. I find that I can manipulate the texture of it a little bit better when I'm actually doing it with a mortar and pestle, or in this case, a whisk, which I actually like. I really like the texture when I get done with it. And then really it just becomes a dump and stir kind of dish. We don't have a cayenne pepper. It's very similar, but we do have a serrano pepper, so I'm going to add that in. I got some garlic, lemon zest, lemon juice, now we also don't have something that's very easy to find called paprika paste. It's very prevalent in that part of the cooking, but in that part of the world, but what we do have is a little bit of paprika. And so we're going to kind of do our own thing with that. A little bit of tomato puree. This is interesting. This is pomegranate molasses. And pomegranate molasses is something from that region that is really wonderful. It's quite sweet. It obviously comes from the pomegranate. You can add that. If you can't find pomegranate molasses, which honestly has been around for quite some time. There's also date molasses, makes them nice. So then we're going to add our herbs, a little bit of parsley, some mint, a little bit of olive oil, and of course, I think in some cultures, depending on how sweet the tomatoes are or how sick they are, they need a little help with just a little bit of a pinch of sugar. And you can see here what we're starting to get is a very nice sort of pasty sauce. All right, so here we have some of the traditional garnishes that we're going to do with the kebab. It is, I would say they're traditional, but they're very similar to the same things that they would do in Turkey. They do use tomatoes. They do it with peppers. We just happen to be doing it with peppers that we grow here in California. We have some Fresno chilies and we have some Anaheims, and these are some lovely sort of vine ripened tomatoes that I think are going to make. Kebabs are cooked through. They look great. We've got our garnishes up here. Our peppers are all done. We have some pita breads, very similar to the bread that they make in Turkey, to go along with this. And we're just going to start removing the skewers, collect our garnishes. Okay, we have everything off the grill, so it's time to assemble our dish here. Now, I like to build these into sandwiches, but for the sake of this, it's also nice to sort of have that little sort of way of being able to keep it in the tradition of what it is, but at the same time, also maybe make it a little bit more of a party-friendly dish or something that's a little bit more sort of interactive as far as eating is concerned. So I'm going to take a little bit of our salsa. I'm going to create a little base of it. You could always serve a little more of this on the side so people can reach into it. I'm going to slide on a couple of our kebabs. By a couple, I mean 3. And then it's all really just about garnishing. We have to make some sumac onions here. Sumac onions has a little bit of sumac, very easy to make. One of my actually favorite things to do now. I'll throw this on salads. I'll do all kinds of other things, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Just mix that up. It's going to give you the ability to sort of start to create a dish that has a little bit of height to it. And like I said before, you could serve this all disassembled if you wanted to, in order to make it a little bit more sort of party friendly. And I'm going to use a little coriander. Some mint leaves. These are just herbs that I really love. The traditional herbs that go into this, for the most part, is parsley and mint. The coriander, of course, you know, we're here in Southern California, so can't help myself. And then we're going to garnish it with a couple of our chilies. With our tomatoes. And for those of you that are brave enough and aren't afraid, I've got a little bit of an actual Turkish version of a yogurt dill sauce. I'm just going to put that over on the side here because this really is not traditional to this dish. They'll help themselves. We can put a little bit of our bread. And there are Adana kebabs.